Welcome to Anyone Can Learn to Code. In the previous lesson, we started building out this calculator class. So far, we created one method, that is the double method, that accepts a number as an argument and returns its double. That is, if it receives 50, it will return 100. Next, let's create a method called add that will add two numbers together. Now, before we fill in the arguments here, how would we expect this method to be used? So if we said calc.add 50, well, that doesn't quite work because we want to add two different numbers together. So the way you would do that with arguments is to pass in multiple arguments. In this case, we're going to pass in two arguments. And the way you do that is by separating the two arguments by a comma. So let's say we wanted to add the numbers 50 and 30 together in order to get a sum of 80, we would say calc.add 50, 30. Now, inside of our method definition, we would have to accommodate both of those parameters. We would do that simply by adding two temporary variables. I will call one number1, comma number2. Now, Ruby has no idea what these variables represent, but it does know that when it sees a comma inside the argument section of your method definition, it knows that this method will be expecting two parameters. So let's say return number1 plus number2. Let's test this out in the terminal. Indeed, we get a sum of 80. So again, we're calling the add instance method on this calc instance. Again, this calc represents an instance of a calculator. We're telling this calculator instance to add the numbers 50 and 30 together, but really we're simply calling an add method and passing in two parameters. The 50 parameter gets assigned to number 1, and the 30 parameter gets assigned to number 2. How does Ruby know to assign 50 to number 1 and 30 to number 2? It's simple. Ruby goes based on the order in which the parameters are received. And like English, Ruby reads from left to right. So since the 50 comes first, that gets added to the first variable here. And since 30 comes second, it gets added to the second variable here. Again, we could call this red hippo and purple hippo. And it would work just the same. In this case, Ruby would assign 50 to the red hippo temporary variable simply because this variable is listed first. And it would assign 30 to the purple hippo variable since that variable is listed second. But we'll switch this back to some more appropriate variable names. Similarly, we can create a subtract method that would work very similarly. And in this case, if we try to subtract 30 from 50, we should get 20, and we do. The point is that for certain methods, they require more than one piece of information, in which case you're going to need multiple arguments. Here we've shown you exactly how to do so.